Hello, my angels. It's me, Lord Nicolina, and welcome to the 2023 year-end special of Angel Rise. In addition, this is episode 40. Yes, this is episode 40 of Angel Rise. It's taken quite a bit of time, but it's finally here. We hit the 30 episode mark at the beginning of the year, and now here at the end of the year, we're at 40 episodes. Compared to last year, where I uploaded 28 episodes, I only have done 12 this year. It was because I didn't have many ideas for this year, nor did I have much motivation for them this year, and was busy with IRL activities. But honestly, I still enjoy making Angel Rise episodes for you all, even if they don't come out as often as I would like. To those who have been here the whole way, and those who have come along the way, I would like to give my sincerest thanks for all the support, not just on Angel Rise this year, but the other videos I have done throughout this year as well. Like I always say, any support, no matter how big or small it is greatly appreciated. So I thank you all so much from the bottom of my heart. With that being said, episode 40 and the final episode of Angel Rise for 2023 is ready to roll. Let's hop right in. 2023 has been filled to the brim with activities I've done for the first time, with almost each experience bringing something new into my life or adding on to something I familiarized myself with. Yet, there are 5 major things that I've done for the first time this year that I feel have been the most significant of them all. Experiences which have stuck with me until today and have given me a newfound sense of happiness and knowing not everything is inside the box. Now, let's dive in and see what new things were brought to my doorstep this year. First collab video. We're kicking things off with the first milestone episode of Angel Rise this year, episode 30, which was released in January this year. From what I mentioned back in my top 5 video, episode 30 of Angel Rise was the first time I've collaborated with someone to make a video here on this channel. The person I collaborated with was my dear friend Kestrel, aka Tenchi Peachy. That's their new username, by the way, just as a heads up. In the episode, the two of us talked about how we met, our interest in the Super Mario princesses, how we came to love the Super Mario series as a whole, and various other topics, like the hip-hop duo Insane Clown Posse, and cleaning up garbage across our respective schools. Prior to that collab, I made quite a few mentions of Kestrel in my videos, notably episode 16 of Angel Rise, and 2 of my poem videos, Sunshine and Never Impossible. Due to this, I did consider possibly collaborating with Kestrel in a future video, but that answer was affirmed back in episode 20 of Angel Rise, when they asked that specific question, and I, of course, answered yes to it. Yet, the prospect of collab videos before then didn't seem too enticing to me. I was more than happy with Kestrel, Ira, and myself making artwork and edits of our respective OCs. Plus, around the time I made episode 16 of Angel Rise, I was only beginning to have voice chats with them on my Discord server, so I wasn't quite used to hearing their voices. Also, I was more used to making videos by myself, considering how independent I have become over the years since the end of my school days. I mean, I really do love making videos by myself. Writing scripts, editing clips, coming up with thumbnails. I take great pride in that and challenge myself to make the best videos that I can. But the collab video with Kestrel changed that quite a bit. There is very little to write, only my intro and my outro. In addition, Kestrel took care of the thumbnail, and I took care of the editing, which took me 3 days to do, considering this episode, as of this recording, is the longest in Angel Rise history at 1 hour and 52 minutes. But in the end, I feel it was worth it. While I still mostly make solo videos to this day, episode 30 of Angel Rise opened up a chance that I initially felt wasn't worth it. But it ended up being one of the best memories I had throughout 2023. Collab videos are more fun than I really expected, especially considering the ties I have with Kestrel. So my advice to anyone who's thinking of doing collab videos, or any collaborations of any kind, I suggest you start with someone you have strong faith in and build it up. To Kestrel, this is another big reason why I appreciate you so much, and helped me understand that with the right people, great accomplishments can happen. Cosplaying in public. This is a direct reference to episode 33 of Angel Rise, and easily one of my favorite memories of not only 2023, but my life as well. Back in April this year, I went to see the new Super Mario Bros. Movie by Illumination, the studio widely known for the Despicable Me franchise, who took up the opportunity to collab with Nintendo to create a modern animated rendition of a Mario movie. How did I see it, you may ask? Only in the most royal of ways. If you know what I mean, I cosplayed as Peach to see the Mario movie. You heard that right. I went to see the Mario movie cosplaying as Peach. For perspective, I first thought about doing so well before the movie came out, somewhere around mid-February to early March. However, there was a major worry I had, and that was that I was doing this in public for all to see. Being a dude in my early 20s was especially what got this worked up in my mind. I never went out in public, apart from Halloween, in costume, let alone as one of my favorite characters. I think any other guy would have just dressed up as Mario, Luigi, Bowser, or even Donkey Kong. But yet, my heart told me, if there's any dude who could pull off dressing up as Peach in public, it was going to be me. So it was my mission to make this happen. After my shift that day at a previous job I worked, I got into my own clothes, climbed into the car with my mother, step-uncle, and step-cousin, put on my Peach cosplay on the ride to the theater, which is quite humorous to me looking back on it. And when we arrived at the theater, I emerged with the cool air blowing, but feeling a major sense of pride as I walked through the theater door, and was immediately greeted by a mother and their young daughter, who was a little shy, yet I greeted her with the utmost kindness as we moved along. But they weren't the only ones I was greeted by a few more kids, mostly girls. And even a young couple came up to me and got photos with me. They honestly didn't mind. I was a dude who was dressed up as Peach. They just knew that someone dressed up as her was there, and they wanted to see them. And that person was me. Afterwards, we went in to see the movie itself. I had a bit of a difficult time getting up the stairs because of the dress, yet the sense of pride and happiness was flowing through my veins. The movie was spectacular, and the way Peach was portrayed was amazing. Easily the best movie I've ever seen. Yet, the most rewarding part of the evening was doing so in my Peach cosplay, and seeing how much people enjoyed seeing me dressed up as her. This has given me confidence that in the right circumstances, I can cosplay in public, outside of Halloween, as my favorite characters and characters that I created, which I feel will be quite useful for my future endeavors. Like I said, this easily is one of my favorite moments of the year, and my entire life. My heart was right to say what it said to me. I may be a dude, but my love for the Super Mario princesses will be immaculate, and I'll do whatever I can to make them just as prominent as Mario, Luigi, and the other dudes that make the Super Mario universe what it is today. Online shopping. This was something I initially was extremely nervous to try out, but this brought on a new sense of freedom. When it comes to shopping, I'm all in for in-person shopping, and it was something I learned to do on my own as I grew into my teenage years. In-person shopping felt like I could have almost everything I wanted, but after COVID hit, I understood that this exactly wasn't the case. During that time, I learned of a website through my father called Amazon, which was founded by Jeff Bezos in 1994. And he frequently purchased items from there and had them delivered quite quickly, as I later realized. That piqued my curiosity quite a bit. But it first piqued when I heard my mother was doing so as well. She notably helped me with my cosplays, as some you have to buy online, notably Amazon, and her help with getting them off there was a contributing factor to how well my cosplays would turn out. But after a while, funds did begin to dry up a little bit for her, and I had to come up with cosplays with the costumes and makeup I already had. This year, however, back in August, my curiosity piqued again when I saw that she was getting household items through Amazon, and around the time, I was planning another cosplay. But instead on relying on my mother for help that time around, I thought, why don't I do this myself? So, I went through with creating my own Amazon account and got what I needed for it. I was honestly scared at first because, like I mentioned, I'm used to shopping in person by this point. Yet, the second I made my first purchase from there, a new era of shopping for myself and my family had begun. This has allowed me to do cosplays I've always thought about doing, such as Rosalina and the Mario movie version of Peach, while also getting some household items for my family, mostly to do with laundry and my cats. I also went as far to create an Etsy account to buy a custom keychain that Kestrel designed, and it turned out great. However, me being the cautious person that I am, I aim to go for the lowest price possible and spend as little money at a time as possible. I have gone a little overboard a couple times, but I know what my limits are, and I stick to them. In the words of my mother, she says it's a big step in me becoming an adult. And honestly, I couldn't agree more with that. That's where the sense of freedom comes into play, because it's not only the IRL stores that have what I desire, but online as well. And knowing that deliveries can come quicker than expected makes it all the more worthwhile whenever I have a deadline set to do cosplays, go on trips, or whether I'm running low on something at home. Amazon, Etsy, thank you. You have made shopping ever more revolutionary to not only myself, but all those who shop online the ability to have their items in due time. Attending local hockey games. This is something I actually started all the way back in 2010, but it has become more prominent this year alone. Being a hockey fan my entire life, it is natural for me to want to go and see games that pique my interest. For the majority of my life, I've been focusing mostly on the big-name hockey teams like those in the NHL, notably my favorite team, the Toronto Maple Leafs. I went to 4 of their games from 2009 to 2013. But these kinds of games are quite expensive to attend. You need to have pretty deep pockets in order to go to these types of games. Local hockey games, on the other hand, they're way cheaper to go to than you can imagine. Like around $10 to $15. The first time I went to one of these games was back in December of 2010, that being for an amateur senior AAA team known as the Brantford Blast. It was one of my uncles that took me to that game, and despite the loss the Blast suffered, it was a really good game that would pave the way for what was to come. I went to a few more of those games throughout my teenage years, as well as games local to my actual hometown. They were just as fun, even though there weren't many times where my teams won. But it was in October this year that I would start a weekly tradition with my father that continues to this day. I started with going to see a Junior B team known as the Kitchener-Waterloo Siskins, KW Siskins for short, who play in the Greater Ontario Junior Hockey League, GOJHL for short. The first game of theirs I saw was against their division rivals, the Listowel Cyclones, and the game was pretty tight, but the Siskins came out on top 3-2. And afterwards, I got to go down to the team locker room, because the head coach of the team was actually one of my former high school teachers, Mr. Crosby, and considering my close ties with him, I feel it was more than fitting. Based on that, I gave the team one of my signature speeches, much like I did with my high school teams. That was just the beginning. As I went along, I started seeing more teams that were close to my local area, including 3 more GOJHL teams, which are the Cambridge Redhawks, the Air Centennials, and the Brantford Bandits. There were also 2 more Brantford teams added to the mix. The Junior A team, the 99ers of the Ontario Junior Hockey League, OJHL for short, and the major junior team, the Brantford Bulldogs of the Ontario Hockey League, OHL for short. In the case of the Bulldogs, they temporarily relocated to Brantford from the city of Hamilton due to their arena undergoing extensive renovations. Their arena of choice in Brantford was the home arena of the Brantford Blast, the Brantford Civic Center. This arena actually previously hosted OHL hockey from 1978 to 1984 in the form of the Brantford Alexanders, who are now known today as the Erie Otters. So far, out of the teams I mentioned, I've seen 9 games this season. 3 Siskins games, 2 games each for the Redhawks, Centennials, and Bulldogs, and 1 for the 99ers. All of them have been really fun to go to, yet there's one that stands among the rest. It was a Brentford Bulldogs game on December 9th at the Civic Center, where they were taking on my favorite OHL team, the Kitchener Rangers, who I saw 2 months before the Brentford Blast on Thanksgiving in 2010. However, unlike the other 8 games this season so far, I went to this game with my mother, which was unusual considering she rarely comes to sporting events with me. But yet, I knew she had to see at least one Bulldogs game with me. The game itself was filled to the brim with energy right from the start, both from game action and the crowd. The Bulldogs got the first goal, then Kitchener scored 4 straight to take a 4-1 lead going into the third period. However, the Bulldogs didn't let Kitchener get away. They scored 3 times in 6.5 minutes within the first half of the period to tie the game at 4. The game then went into overtime, and Bulldogs leading goal scorer Nick Lardis, with just a minute left in the extra period, sniped it for his first career OHL hat-trick, and the Civic Center exploded in cheers. I was even screaming my head off when he scored, completing what was an amazing comeback. My voice was almost gone by then, as I had also gone wild for the third and fourth goals the Bulldogs scored. But I got it out, and I don't regret it one bit. That certainly, without a doubt, was the best hockey game I've gone to in my entire life, topping all other games I went to during my childhood and teenage years. Easily something I'll cherish for years to come. As a whole, attending local hockey games, I feel, has given me the chance to recognize teams that aren't as well known as the major ones are. It's also given me a sense of being proud of where I live, and to express my love for my all-time favorite sport. Local hockey, I feel, is severely underrated, and more recognition should be given to not just the teams I see, but all local hockey teams across the world. It's the sense of local pride that makes hockey a wonderful sport to watch. A community coming together to watch their teams duke it out with opponents nearby. That's what makes me so happy to have started this near-weekly tradition of going to local hockey games. I'll without a doubt attend more of these games, to give teams a spotlight that otherwise wouldn't be given to them. Local hockey rules. Up to this point, there's no denying how much of an impact the first 4 experiences I've shared have been. But you might be surprised on the one that has impacted me the most this year. That being a Nintendo video game franchise. But it's not Super Mario. It's Splatoon. Honestly, if you were to ask me about the game series at this time last year, I would barely know anything about it. But now, you can ask me that. And I have the answers that you need. For context, Splatoon is a third-person shooter video game series created by, of course, Nintendo. It follows anthropomorphic marine animals, notably the terrestrial cephalopods known as inklings and octolings, which are based around squids and octopuses respectively, that can transform between humanoid and cephalopod forms at will. These beings engage in turf war battles with each other and use a variety of weapons that produce and shoot colored ink while they're in human form and swim through their own colored ink in their cephalopod forms. So think of it like a cartoony version of a shooter game. My interest in the series actually began when the first game came out in 2015, and was played a little bit by my step-cousin. I only saw bits and pieces of the game, yet it was enough to see how Nintendo wanted to change things up a little bit with this new franchise. And boy, it proved to be a massive hit. When the sequel was announced, I actually thought about getting it, yet the thought came and went. But I was excited at the same time to see Splatoon get a second game in the first place. I was more than happy to see it from the sidelines, if you know what I mean. Naturally, I thought there would be a third game, and indeed there was. However, my thought about getting it came and went as it came out, much like Splatoon 2. However, 2 people I knew got Splatoon 3. You want to guess who? It was Kestrel and Ira. I don't know exactly if both got the game right at release or just after, but either way, them partaking in it was bound to make my intrigue from 2015 explode into oblivion. Kestrel would share a couple highlights and screenshots from the game onto my Discord server, and I thought they were very nice. But their avatar, I've never seen anything like it up to that point. By that time, I was more familiar with Inklings, but Kestrel's avatar wasn't an Inkling. It was an Octoling. That's when I first learned of them. And honestly, they do look just as awesome as Inklings. Ira's avatar is also an Octoling as well, which I think is more than fitting. From then onwards, leading to just after my birthday, I was thinking to myself, I need to play this game. I need to play this game now! It was after the Nintendo Direct on February 8th, revealing the Inkopolis and Side Order DLC, that the decision was final. I was going to jump into this game and see it for myself. This proved to be more significant than I initially thought. I'm not one for shooter games, but if I had to play in one, it has to be Splatoon. The second I stepped into a turf war battle for the first time as my Inkling Girl avatar, it was like all my intrigue from 2015 came to fruition. I was immediately hooked, and had a huge sense of knowing that the Super Mario series was no longer the only Nintendo video game series I was hooked on. After a couple weeks, however, it wasn't just playing the game that was making me fall in love with the series. I would eventually go on to start having Splatoon-themed roleplays with Kestrel and Ira as our avatars. Kestrel's was named Athena, Ira's was named Rome, and mine was named Soakeen. And let's just say, they have been an absolute blast to do, and I thoroughly enjoyed them up to this point. But it didn't stop there, because I started doing Splatoon cosplays just 6 months after I started playing. And remember the cosplay I was shopping for back in the online shopping part of this episode? That was for Soakeen. I kid you not, that was for him. I officially cosplayed as him on August 19th, and it became instantly one of my favorite cosplays. More cosplays were to come, no doubt. 3 more have followed since then, notably my favorite Splatoon idol, Shiver, on Halloween, whom I mentioned back in episode 37 of the series. As a whole, Splatoon has been the symbol of my gaming experience in 2023, and this year as a whole. Experimenting with a new game, and it turning out to be one of the best games I ever played. I'll be honest, my experience with the Splatoon series deserves its own episode because I have a lot to talk about. I teased that back in episode 37, but I can officially say that Splatoon will be the focus of the next episode. The first episode of 2024. Plus, it'll be a collab episode like episode 30. So stay tuned. But the 2 people I really have to thank for getting me into this series are Kestrel and Ira. I mean, you 2 have inspired me in many ways. But never in a million years would I have imagined you 2 inspiring me to start playing Splatoon, let alone do Splatoon-themed role-playing and cosplaying. Seriously, you 2 are the freaking best. Splotastic, if you know what I mean. Thank you 2 so much. And thank you Nintendo as well, for making such an amazing video game series like this. Your gamble paid off, and I'm hooked. No doubt, Splatoon, along with the other 4 experiences I mentioned, were the major parts of the new special deliveries I received throughout this year. And there you have it, everyone. That is episode 40 in the books. As a whole, 2023 was no doubt a year to remember. While not perfect, like any year, I can safely say 2023 was an amazing year for me, and what I experienced and learned proved that exceptionally well. So thank you 2023 for putting me through experiences I'll forever cherish. And what about you all? What are your favorite memories from 2023? Feel free to let me know in the comments below. If you enjoyed this episode, feel free to leave a like and share this with your loved ones. Spread the word about Angel Rise and the Lord Nicolina YouTube channel. For those who are new here and would like to join this journey of mine, then please feel free to subscribe to join the Blue and White Angel Brethren today. Click on the notification bell as well when you subscribe so that you are notified whenever I release new content. And check out my other videos too. Thank you all so much for watching the 2023 year-end special of Angel Rise. I hope you all have a great day or night whenever you are watching this. And I hope you all have a safe and wonderful New Year. Until we meet again, my name is Lord Nicolina. Be strong, stay positive, and God bless. Happy New Year, my angels!